We're in Friedensburg, Pennsylvania this morning with Dave Kramer of Kramer Tree Farms. Not just any tree farm.
Not just any tree farm.
We're on a Christmas tree farm. Dave, tell us a little bit about the history of your tree farm.
Well, we were living in Washington, D.C. in our early days, and my wife's cousin, Bert Bockert, owned a Christmas tree farm in New Ringgold, and we came up and we got our tree, and I got this good idea about maybe selling trees in Washington, which I did, and I would come up with a trailer, and I sold 100 trees I would take down. And then we moved back. My father was selling the farm, so I bought the farm, and I tried raising corn, and I put 1,000 trees out on the far hill out there. And for years I would add another 1,000, and eventually I got up to buying another farm and then renting farms, and I got up to 100,000 trees, and I was really into Christmas trees. But I was working at United Parcel Service.
Okay.
And I couldn't do them both, so I had to retire early from United Parcel Service. So here I am in my retirement days, still having Christmas trees. Too many, but we're here, and it's fun. It's a hobby.
Yeah.
And it's always has been a hobby, and it's a hobby again.
Well, now, so this is actually the home place.
This is it.
This is your farm. And when did that start? In the late 60s?
1968.
1968. All right. So tell us a little bit about the area that we're standing in right now. The little trees. What do you call these?
These are transplants.
Transplants.
Or seedlings.
Okay.
A transplant is a 4-year-old. It was actually in a seed bed for 2 years.
Okay.
And 2 years in a transplant bed.
All right.
But they were planted in spring. Last year we harvested off of here. I cleared, cut it, and rototilled it, and prepared the ground and planted these trees in spring.
Now you don't grow the seedlings yourself. You purchase the seedlings as transplants, and then you bring them in at an age of about 2 to 3 years old. Is that right?
3 to 4.
3 to 4 years old. Okay, so your transplants are 3 to 4 years old, and that's what we're looking at right now. Tell us a little bit about this hill right up here, where they look a little bushier.
These right in the bottom here have been about 4 years.
Okay.
And the next hill behind that, they're probably 5 years.
Okay.
That patch is up there. And then we have some standing over here. They've been here 12 years.
And while we're here, let's talk a little bit about what happens after a Christmas tree is cut. You know, you mentioned that these are transplants. What did you have to do to prepare the ground after this area was cut?
Okay, I pull the stumps with a skid loader.
Okay.
And then I come back with a rototiller and rototill it and get it nice and level.
So you actually pull the stumps. I know a
stumps.
few tree farmers who will grind the
grind
stumps, right, and sell mulch, right?
Well, they grind them right up into the ground.
Okay.
And it just stays, it's returned to the soil.
Okay. Is there an advantage to pulling the stump versus grinding?
No, it's more expensive for me because I can't afford the big grinder. You need a lot bigger tractor for that. I only have 52 horsepower. You need about 145 horsepower, at least 200 horsepower.
Okay.
For the bigger grinder.
And some strong people to help pull the stump out then.
Well, that's true. But you need to get that stump out before you prepare. Now, early days, we would leave the stump in and plant a tree aside of it.
Was there an advantage to that?
That we were not too smart. But you planted by hand with a spade.
Okay.
I planted all my early years with spades. When you're only doing 1,000, that's okay. But if you want to plant 20,000 trees in a year.
Oh, that sounds easy. Planting 1,000 trees by spade.
Oh yes, it takes much. Well, I had sons at home; they could do it for me. So when you get older, then you have to get the machinery.
You have to be mechanized.
If I was going to stay in business, I would get a big grinder and a big tractor. But at 66 years old,
and have some more sons.
If the sons would be interested, but they don't seem to be too interested. But the one does have one of the farms, so hopefully he will do that. No, he would use his head, and he would probably buy the grinder.
All right, so where else are we going to go from here? What would be the next step to see from the 4 or 5 year old trees? Where would we go?
Well, across the street, they've been in there 6 to 7.
These down here on the hill.
There's some Frasers on the top here.
Okay. I'd like to go down and take a look at those.
We can do that.
Let's go. So Dave, this is a Fraser fir?
This is a Fraser fir.
Oh, this is beautiful.
This has been in the ground about 7 years. It was a 4-year transplant when I put it in here.
This is beautiful. It's perfect Talk to me a little bit about the shape of a Christmas tree. Do you have to do anything to it while it's growing?
I do. I shape up every year.
How do you do that?
With hand by hand, I do the leaders, but then I have a machine called a Beneke
Okay.
that we can buy, and we shape the tree every year. I could show you that later.
That'd be great.
But we use Benekes, and they do a nice job. I have a grandson that does all my shearing for me. So
Tell me, you just called this a leader?
this is the leader.
And
you want to make sure you have one leader, so we cut the others back, and then
And if you cut the others back, does that encourage the fullness of the tree?
right, you see that your buds will come out this way instead of fighting for the leader.
Oh, I see.
But you have all good buds up there, so this will be a nice fill out, and you have one leader go back up next year.
And this is a good average height. I would imagine a lot of people go for like a 6, 7.
This won't be here. This won't be here very long. This will be gone.
This is a pretty one.
This won't make it to 8 feet or 7 feet.
It might not make it to the end of this interview. I think
not.
I might just have found my Christmas tree.
This could be it.
Although, no, I do love the con color. I'm going to have to go with the con color. Tell me, the underside of the Fraser is really special. You just said it's blue, right?
It's blue.
Look at the needles, how beautiful they are. And what's going on with the tree right back behind here, Dave?
This tree back here.
Yeah, sometimes you see
This
trees
had root
like
rot
that.
last year, which meant we just had too much rain, especially in July and August.
Right.
When they needed a Douglas fir has to dry out.
Okay.
It can't have wet feet. So this had too much rain, and what it did, it just had root rot and kicked the needles off from the inner needles.
So the needles that we see here, this is the growth
This is the
from
current
this.
from this year.
Okay.
Last year's needles fell off, and some of them fell off. The current needles last year fell off.
Right.
So we had a real problem.
Will these grow back? Will you be able to see some growth next year?
You have good buds in here. Next year you'll have
It'll fill out.
two needles again, two growth of needles there. So it'll be good.
Great. Dave, this is a really different tree. What kind of tree is
This
this?
is a grand fir.
Oh, a grand fir?
Grand, Grande, grand fir.
I don't think I've ever heard
It
of
has
that.
a terrific aroma if you can smell it. Just awesome.
It's sweet almost.
It is sweet.
And is this a big seller for you?
I don't have that many, so I don't. But yes,
Well, it's grand, so
Grand, yes.
you've got to have the ceiling height to accommodate a grand fir.
Yes, for sure. And the width.
And the width,
They
it's
they
big.
grow very, very wide.
You know, this is a really impressive tree, which brings me to my next question. Has the White House ever called you?
No, they haven't.
I think we need to clue them in.
Put them in, and I have a grand fir for them.
And
I
we've
do
got-
have. You have one up there, right behind the house. You see that one up there?
That's a grand fir?
That is a grand fir. And if they call me, I'll send it to them.
We might have to pull the minivan out of the way. What do you think?
That's right. But that's a gorgeous tree.
What's the deal with getting one of your trees into the White House? How does
You
one
would
go
have
about
to
that?
be part of the Pennsylvania Christmas tree growers and enter a tree at the farm show in Harrisburg.
Okay.
And if you get first place, then in the summertime in August, you would go to the National Christmas Tree Growers and enter in their contest.
Okay.
And out of all the states, if you win that, then you get to put your tree in the White House.
So the tree farm actually wins the contest. They get to supply the tree come December or
right.
whenever they decide to put it up.
Or they look for a big tree, like something like that. You need a huge tree to get in the White House. So we have one available if anybody needs a grand fir.
Kramer Tree Farm, Mr. President.